from a principle standpoint, this is probably one of the worst changes we've gotten this year, because it shows that the devs don't know why Kiriko is so powerful in top 500. Right, gonna quickly go over these mid-season patch notes for Season 5, and not gonna lie, these are probably the worst patch notes we've gotten this year. Like, I'm not even being that's not hyperbole or anything. Like, the only thing comparable to this are probably the cast changes, but the sheer volume of shitty changes we have this patch, they're kind of unprecedented. So we'll see how this goes. Yeah, so I'll quickly gloss over Team Q. I've played Team Q myself. The biggest issue with it is that if you're above GM, right, where the Team Q mode is actually useful, right, queue times are like 30 plus minutes. Right, or the games are wildly unbalanced. So my first Team Q game, we went against a contenders team and we got rolled. Right, you can see the background gameplay. It was not fun. Right, but then one of our other games, right, was on Rialto, and we completely steamrolled the enemy team. So who knows, right? Like, if you're above GM, the Team Q mode is useless, and still, if you're in Platinum, the Team Q mode is still going to be useless, because you're not going to be getting that sort of coordinated team play that Team Q is all about in Platinum, right? It's just kind of pointless. You might as well be playing solo queue or role queue, right? So, Orisa, damage reduction, increased from 40 to 50%. The biggest issue with this change is that it shows that the devs don't really understand what makes a hero good or why a hero is being played, right? So we look back to when Orisa was played, right? And it was when her fall off began at 25 meters and it ended at 35, I believe, right? And now, right, it's 15 meters and it ends at 25, right? Now the devs did increase their damage recently, right, from 12 to 13 damage per pellets. Right, so she probably doesn't need that big of a range buff, but probably buff her range to like 18-ish meters, maybe 20 meters, right? Where she can actually throw her javelin from like 20 meters away and land that kill like she did beforehand, right? And then you'll see Orisa being played more, right? Orisa's biggest issue is her burst damage. It's not her sustain, right? You look at Ramattra, Reinhardt, Junker Queen, all those other Pokeball heroes, Zarya as well. They all have significantly more damage than Orisa can output. So yeah, if you want to see more Orisa play, don't buff the Fortify, buff the range, right, and all the damage. Ramattra, this is a nice change, right? Projectile now passes through enemy heroes, but it's still blocked by barriers. Really nice quality of life change there. Probably one of the few good changes of this patch. Nice to see. This Reinhardt change, sure, I guess. Oh, that's crazy. But yeah, sure, I guess, right? That's too thin. But like the issue with this change is that like it doesn't really fix why Reinhardt's not being played over someone like Ramattra, right, or Queen. And that's mainly due to sustain in my eyes, right? You need to give back Rein his armor and or buff his pin mobility, right? I think pin is really, really underrated, especially in ranked sort of environments where you have that dive out playstyle. Like, buff the pin movement speed to where Reinhardt can reach his off angles and deal with the off angles more quickly and save his HP and his barrier HP. Right, so this sort of change here, I don't think it really, like, it affects lower players more, and we don't want to see Reinhardt being played or being broken in sort of like plat elos, but his pin is really, really key. So yeah, I'd buff his pin, honestly, with Reinhardt, and or his armor, right? So, yeah. Next change to Wrecking Ball. This change here, I think it's actually a nice change, right? The Wrecking Ball's always been a bit gimmicky, with those reloads when you're drawing a hero. Again, I think this is a nice change. Similar to the Ramattra one, good quality of life change, nothing more to say about that one. So yeah, this Sojourn change here, I think it's gone too far. Like, number of shots to reach maximum spread increased from 8 to 12, and spread reduced by 12%. You can see on screen the sort of stacking effect of both the spread changes here. It's kind of crazy, right? Like, the reason why, again, it shows me that the devs don't understand why you pick Sojourn over her alternative being Soldier, right? Which is for the burst mobility in a power slide and the burst damage in a railgun, right? You don't need to be buffing the railgun to give it more range when there's already a longer range Sojourn, being Soldier, on the board here. So again, this change is kind of pointless. I guess you can say or argue that Sojourn's been a bit underpowered in higher elos, because again, Cassidy is a pretty good counter to Sojourn because of the nade can just like deny her aggression. So I guess you could say that, you know, she might need a buff here. But I think this goes a bit too far. I think just give her a slight buff to her railgun, and you'll see, or to her power slide, and you'll see a bit more play from her, right? So yeah, that's my thoughts on Sojourn. Soldier, I kind of feel the same way, right? Soldier's one of those heroes that is a pub or a ranked solo queue pick that is great, but in team play, he's just not used very much, and he's trash into Sombra Tracer because he's just gonna sustain. Spyro said this in this video, but I completely agree that Sojourn needs a rework with his biotic field, because you play Soldier for his sprints and his range, right? What you do in Soldier is that you hard flank around the map, you take a medium to long range angle, and you beam someone down, then you sprint to another angle, right? And you rinse and repeat, right? It's a sprint is really, really key. His sprint and his consistent damage from range that's why you pick Soldier. So yeah, reworking this to like a healing jab, to where he can just jab himself, like a Thinker's Adrenaline Surge in Rainbow Six Siege. That would be great. Alright, then you can obviously decrease the numbers to like 20-ish, right? I think that'll be good. And yeah, you don't even need this heal exchange or this damage change. I would also say, right, if you nerf Tracer, you're gonna see more Soldier play, right? Because Tracer, who prevents Soldier from hard flanking? It's Tracer, right? Especially at higher ranks, it's Tracer Sombra. So if you nerf Tracer, you will see more Soldier play, right? And then we won't need these changes. This Symmetra change, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Hydration time. This sim change is dog shit. Absolute dog shit. This makes her broken, in my opinion. The ability to two-shot heroes, nah, man, I'm sorry. Like, what is Symmetra? What's the downs? I'm actually confused how your Overwatch said in his video, in his thumbnail, that this was an overall nerf. How can you look at these changes and say to me that this is a nerf? Right, maybe for lower level players, maybe, right, who aren't utilizing that sort of teleport two-shot sort of the playstyle with Symmetra, right? Who just sort of run it down main, they beam, right? They try and get the level 3 beam. They don't change playstyles. Maybe this is enough for them, but man, like being able to two-shot squishies is crazy to me. And then obviously you have the turret change. I think because this gives you scouting information, you're going to see turrets being used to more mark flanks and things like that. So I think this is actually a decent change, but it's really this one that's like sort of crazy and whacked out the wazoo. The Storm change, my thoughts on it are mixed, probably negative, because again, Tracer needs nerf, and one of the biggest counters to Tracer, especially in middle elos, was Torbjorn. His DPS on his turret used to do 56, and now it does 44, which is a big decrease. And now it's the cooldown's been increased too. So I don't like the change. Maybe he needs his power tuned down a little bit in middle elos. But again, if you're gonna nerf Torbjorn, Tracer needs to be nerfed. Please, for the love of God, nerf Tracer. Nerf our Pulse Bomb specifically because, again, lower level players aren't getting used to our Pulse Bomb, or nerf our mobility for the exact same reasons. So yeah. Now to the Kiriko changes, and honestly, from a principle standpoint, this is probably one of the worst changes we've gotten this year, because it shows that the devs don't know why Kiriko is so powerful in top 500. They don't understand why their hero, or how their hero is supposed to be played. The biggest thing with Kiriko is the risk-return investment. You can hard flank as Kiriko with no risk at all because of the TP, and that needs to be nerfed. Like the TP distance, remove it from, or decrease it from 30 to like 20 meters, and that'll be a good change for Kiriko, because honestly, I don't know why they're buffing the best support in the game. Like this change is straight up brain dead. I don't know what the devs are thinking. Screw the change. Yeah. And this Zen change, like while Zen like did need a nerf, like probably his Discord go from 25 to 20, right? To make tanks like actually play the game. Zen, apart from into tanks, he's pretty shit elsewhere. Like, try playing Zen in the Sombra Tracer. You're not gonna have any fun, right? And while Zen is good against, short range, low mobility, Ryan, Lucio, Brawl comps, when he's not playing versus that, the other supports, Kiriko, Ana, Bap, Brig, they're just way better than what Zen can provide. Right? Even Moira has her place in the game, being, extremely survivable and the best duelist or the best support duelist in the game, right, alongside Kiriko. So I don't know why they're reducing the range. Like, this doesn't like help out tanks that much, and it doesn't fix Zenyatta being absolutely hellish to play against when you're trying to play him, against the Sombra Tracer stuff. I think these changes are dreadful, honestly, on the whole. The changes that are good, like the Ram one, their quality of life stuff, that doesn't really matter or has a big impact. But yeah, I'm really not a big fan of the Symmetra change. Like, this one's gone under the radar by far. The nerfing Torb without nerfing Tracer is insane to me. This Kiriko change is insane, and the Zen change is also insane, considering that, again, Tracer players are Tracer's still getting top play at our level at GM. Right, she's still oppressive at that level. So I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know how this change is gonna do in the future. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of this change. And yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. That's it for the video, and until next time.